countdown, is there?
No.
No, we're live though.
We are live. So
we are live. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. That brilliant start that we planned is completely ruined now. But hey, what the hell? Let's do it anyway. Hello, everybody. Are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then I'll begin. MZTV. It's all going brilliantly. You see, this show, we have an excuse, do we not, Zec? Because we've both been poorly.
Oh, we're poorly boys.
Poorly. Normal, not, I mean, you know, we talk about being poorly a lot on DHTV, but for today, we're going to talk about being proper poorly on top of our normal poorly.
I'm so poorly, double I keep changing
poorly.
Colour.
I know, yes. He's not actually dead. He's not a corpse. We've reanimated Zec. I am a zombie. No, he's using a camera that seems to be working well now, but now you're pink. And it's great because his shirt changes colour as well. That might be it. It might be your camera is fighting with the very white shirt, you see. Ah, there it is. See. Anyway, welcome, everybody. I don't think we're going to be doing another let's think of a really clever way of starting the show again, because it doesn't work with us.
Doesn't work, does it? We'll just go with it.
So today we are talking, what are we talking, Zec?
We're talking about us poor old boys, or anybody, any one of us with a disability or chronic health condition that gets the old COVID.
Yes, because after 2 years of locking ourselves away and being all clever and healthy and avoiding it, we both caught it within about 2 days of each other.
Yeah, our lives seem to mirror each other at the moment.
It does a lot, yes. And I mean, I was going to start off by saying, so what was it like for you, Zec?
What was it like for me?
Yes, what was it like?
I actually struggled. I'm going to flick on the comments for you there so we can see them. I actually struggled whether or not I had COVID. I'd messed up. I'd gone to shul. We'd had some people visiting and we had nibbles afterwards and I forgot my mask. And I woke up on the Tuesday. I had a real gravelly old voice. It was a bit like that. But that's what happens with ME. I know I'm getting a flare up because I start going all gravelly. And the wife goes, "Oh, I like that." So I'm like, am I? Aren't I? And then that night was one of those nights where the pain just goes up. Mm-hmm. You're so tired you can't sleep. Your brain screams. That kind of fatigue where you feel out of control and you really just want to have a cry. And you think, no, I can't do this anymore. And the next day I thought, I'm going to do a test. And they're going, what's the point? What's the point? I said, because I need to know. Yes, no, yes, no. And
what's the point? You're already a bag of crap. It's like, yeah, I know I'm a bag of crap, but it might be a double bag of crap. I've got to find out.
So yeah, I tested positive.
Yeah.
And then you copied me. You couldn't let me have it, could you? You couldn't let me have it on my own.
No, that's it. I couldn't. Copycat.
I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, he's got more followers. He's got COVID now.
Well, I probably got a lot of followers due to the fact that everyone was telling me off because they didn't believe I'd got it. We'll talk about that in a bit. What were the symptoms like for you?
It was really ME. It was the fatigue. I didn't have a temperature. Oh, my sats dropped. We got one of those things you chuck on your finger.
This is the bit where you tell me what it was like.
Yeah. We got one of those things you stick on your finger. I didn't feel right, and my sats had dropped down to about 94. And I just felt just like the worst ME flare up going. It was just fatigue. I just couldn't function. Horrible.
It was. Well, because I tested positive first, and I knew that something was up because whenever I get anything that causes swelling, inflammation of anything, my pain goes through the roof. I mean, it's probably the very exact same reason for you. So I started to think, well, I'd probably got it because I'm in more pain than I was in. And annoyingly, I just had my nerve block. So that was still kind of
you was doing really well, wasn't you?
And then the COVID kicked in and suddenly it got like, it was back to the pain level before the nerve block. So I was like, oh God, it's worn off. And then I thought, oh no, it hasn't. It's keep getting worse. So I did a test negative. The next day I did a test positive. And then it was like this bizarre roller coaster that wasn't any, like, you know, well, here are the symptoms. You have a cough, sore throat, you have sniffles, none of that.
No.
But it was like, as well, for the first 3 days, it felt like it was an army of invisible invaders running around my body, attacking all the bits that are knackered. So my back,
Yeah.
and then the pain hit me. Then it went to my shoulders, where my arthritis is. Then it went to my wrists, where I've also got arthritis. Then it went to my broken leg that I broke it in 2016, and it made my broken leg hurt, and it just did that.
But do we think this is this increasing the pain, or is it knocking our ability to cope with it down? Where we normally cope with this, we boom, and we're so low down and run that then we can't. I always wonder that, which way is
See,
it?
the thing is, I think the thing is because this whole, like, because the thing, right, I was doing all that, and you'd think, well, Diane, non-disabled, healthy, whatever. No, did exactly the same for Diane. The one thing that we both had, we both developed really bad eczema. Right, I've still, underneath here, I've got like this David Bowie lightning flash of eczema across my forehead, and she's got it under her eyes and all down her neck, and it was just, it flared up like instantly, and it was, she's had eczema on and off for quite a while, but it had gone away, so it came back. As you can tell, I'm in Camden. There's a nice police siren going by, folks. That'll allow you to know exactly where I live, because all we got to do is find where the police siren was, and you go, aha. Anyway,
it's London. They're everywhere.
Yeah, and and that was one thing. But then she had a 7-8 day migraine, because she gets migraines.
Yeah, I had a headache. I don't get headaches. And
No.
Palsy P's just said on the chats there, not sure if it was flu or C, 3 days and had a mega headache.
Yeah, it's because I think the thing, I mean, that was something I should have said at the start. Sorry, folks. If you have had COVID, please send us your symptoms too, and because I think that it's really important that we talk about this, because so many people say it's just a cold, or it's a bad cold or a flu.
Flu.
The last thing that I would say it was like was flu. It was like flu at the end, but because people, if we're all now going around going, well, no testing, no masks, have what you like, then we really do need to be able to tell people what it feels like to have it, so that some of them might actually stay at home. And it's not, I feel like I've got a flu. Everyone I know at the start felt really ill, really rough, really one down, and sort of, like I said, anything that was wrong was like kicked up to super speed, and then I felt the vaccine kick in, and I genuinely thought, now I can feel that my body's fighting back.
Yeah, I had that. It was at the weekend. I'm feeling better. I'm great. And then the Monday came, and it went, you think again.
Yeah,
you don't know.
It was like the virus kind of went, no, we're going to regroup, and attack. Poof.
We've got a weak one. Kick him there. I'm going to say good evening to Liz. I know this is a little bit unfair saying hello to one, but Liz I've known from the early days.
Hello,
Liz. A lot of us that had ME, and we were on this forum, I think, called Brain Fog. And funnily enough, since then, a lot of them have now been re-diagnosed with things like lupus and the tick one. What's the tick one?
Lyme disease.
Lyme disease. I'm going to apologise to people. I've been in my pajamas for a week. I've had my mental health has been one flew over the cuckoo's nest, and I've had such bad brain fog, and so I know this is going to fry me. Mick and I were saying before we come on, look at us, we look quite well, and it's not how we feel. We're kind of done. I do it for the reviews. Mick does it for his work. Kind of go, camera on, hi.
Yep.
And then we're going to crash afterwards. It's what people don't see about us people that are unwell.
Yes.
Oh, look at them. They do well. I thought they were really unwell. And then they go home and they just melt into the carpet.
Yeah. It's funny, actually, because that was the other annoying thing, is that I got COVID, and like 2 days later, after when I was feeling really rough, I had work. And okay, I'm working from home now. So it was a case of pajamas on, shirt on top, deliver some training, collapse in heap. But because my leg was really hurting as well, because the nerves were playing up, I sat with my foot up. In fact, I did one of the training courses on the sofa and built a little computer table all around me with all my ring lights and everything, so I look professional. And I was just laying on the sofa.
I had education class, and I did it from bed. I said to him, "I'm sorry, I'm in bed. I don't care." Now, I want to know, Mick. I don't know if you get it or any of the others get it. Like this, especially the spoon is when I overdo it, when I'm not doing well, and if I exert myself, what I think happens is the adrenaline kicks in to fight the pain and keeps me going. My head boils. It feels like my head is 10 degrees hotter than the rest of my body, and that is a sign I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I get this. I about 20 minutes before we came on, I had a massive pain spike that just went, and I was generally screaming, and I'm soaked with sweat because your whole body. And the thing is that what you'll get is that different bits of blood like will rush to different bits. So you can get different parts of the body, and you obviously just get it in your head. Because do you know what? It's funny because I'm reading the comments, and lots of people are saying about how they still are stuck inside, and I think this is the big. I think we'll talk about this in a sec. That so many people have been trapped inside because they're shielding, and have been completely ignored because they don't want to be. A lot of people we're lucky. Do you know what I mean? Really, we've got it. We've got over it. But it didn't send us to hospital. It hasn't.
Yeah, that was my fear.
Some of the people that are watching, and we'll watch on catch up, and that
they're in trouble.
If they got it, it's serious trouble. And the other thing, of course, is this thing of would if you went into hospital, I've always said this: if you've got two people, you've got disabled person, non-disabled person, both same age, exactly the same life, and you have one machine to keep them alive, who gets the vote?
Who they're going to pick? Well, that's what scared me during the pandemic. All these DNRs that were being put out. But I don't go out. I'll go out if I'm going to the hospital. I'll go out occasionally, maybe once a month. I go to short, and I went and I forgot my bloody mask. That one time I survived for 2 odd years, and you've got to keep masking up, people. I forgot, and I've got the infuriating thing is if I reach down into my wheelchair bag. I know it doesn't look like I'm wearing it. It's a hairy mask, but it's actually upside down. But I've got it in my bloody wheelchair bag. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bit. But I don't know how effective it is with the beard. To be honest,
do you know what? I think it'd probably be more effective, wouldn't it? Because you've got. It's not like you're breathing through an extra layer of filter.
Many years ago, before breathing apparatus, firemen would have big beards. They would dip it in a bucket of water. They would chuck it in their mouth, and they would breathe through their beard to try and filter the smoke.
Wow. There you go, folks. You learn something new, and that today is your factoid. That's your Disability Horizons TV factoid.
You're going to pay a subscription for this stuff. But yeah, no, back to it. My mental health has suffered massively, and that is partly due to what I'm going through. It's partly down to the energy crisis, the bills rising, and all stuff like that. We're going to discuss that another time.
Yeah.
It's everything, and it all hits. And when you're weak, everything just kicks you a little bit harder. We go, right, I can cope, and then you can't when you get something like that.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this before we went on air, that we're both in a similar, I think you're probably a little bit more down than I am purely for financial reasons. But I think that I was quite shocked at how much this illness messes with your head. Yeah. It does all the physical stuff, but brain fog, absolutely. Both me and Diane codes, and she's had to kind of go, I've completely forgot what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you can't code. Because if you do that, things won't work. And
my wife said to me, "What drink do you want?" I said, "Oh, I've got marmalade in there, thanks." And I thought I said Ribena, and this is quite often happens with brain fog. I don't know, but my family, I'm talking complete nonsense, and they go, "Yes, dear."
So do you normally do this thing where you get asked a question, and then you think, and then while you're thinking, you forget what the question was, and then you go, and then you get asked, well, what do you want? And you're like, oh yeah, sorry. And then when you answer, because Di had it as well, Di would then forget what she'd asked. So it has been a bit of a comedy moment, because it'll be like, what do you want, tea or coffee? And I'll be like, so what do you want? Oh yeah, sorry, tea. Oh yeah, I suppose I could make one.
Yeah, that's brain fog. I can either
Yeah.
lose my words, I cannot find the words. So I'm like, just
Yeah.
even a simple word will just be lost to me. Or apparently, and I don't realize I'm doing it, I will be talking and I'll stop halfway through a sentence and then I go, why are you all staring at me? They go, you were talking. What's that?
Yeah. Yeah. And following television. It's like following movies. We'd sit down and put a film on and be going, and then kind of I'd be like, I don't know what's going on now. I'm completely lost. And it wasn't, it's not like it was some kind of deep metaphysical film. It was just sort of something, candy floss. And I was still like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I've not been good with that.
no, and that leads to the next bit that I really think it affects your mood. I think, people don't, but it does. We both said the same thing before coming on air, didn't we?
Yeah.
That feeling of kind of it's not hopelessness and it's not depression, but it's kind of like sort of like that. I've had enough of this. I've had enough of fighting all the while, and it's weird. I mean, I know there's a lot of other stuff going on, so it's not just COVID. It's a world of crap at the minute, but that I really think is something to do with
I mean,
it.
I admitted to Mick last night. I laid in bed, and I've always said, look, I think about suicide because I struggle to cope with the pain and the illness and everything that goes with it. But I've always said, I'm not going to do it because my wife, the kids, someone once said to me, suicide doesn't end pain, it passes it on.
Yeah.
But I laid in bed last night and I thought, do you know what? I've done 54 years. That's not a failure. That's not a failure. I've done well. Genuinely thinking, maybe, down to thinking, oh, what meds would I use? I'm not going to do it, but my brain's going through that.
No, I completely understand. And I think the thing is I think when you're in chronic pain, I think that it does. You have these periods where it's just like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But I think this does something. One, I don't know about you, but my pain levels went. I mean, like, I'm already seeing neural specialists about how to get pain blocks to stop the pain I'm in. And the first 4 days of it, the first 2 days it was all right. Then it went just bonkers. And I was laying on the sofa just thinking, God, anything, I'll do it. I was thinking, could I stick a screwdriver in my back and just wiggle it about?
Mighty smiter.
Because that might sever the nerves. And I was thinking, that would do some damage as well. So I went, and then I did a load of research because there is actually a treatment where they go in and burn your nerve root.
Yes.
And so I suggest, in pain, contacted my surgeon, said, is this possible? Of course, he was very annoyed because I found out his email address by sensibly finding out what his PA's email address was and copying the email format with his name. So, how did you get this email address? I'm sensible.
Also, as well as pain, I had a different pain. I had this. Have you used the TENS machine?
Yeah, never found it very.
You know when you put it on that real like that real fine buzz. I had that coming down my right bum cheek and round my thigh, and I've never had that before.
See, now that weird because
I thought my phone was vibrating.
Because I mean, like we said about this before when we did the pain thing about how pain has feelings, and it's like I have this feeling where things are eating my foot or sort of like rats nibbling it or something. All the way through this, I had a feeling where someone had got a big fat drill, stuck it sort of in between my big toe, like about an inch behind my big toe and my other toe next to it. And the drill was on a really slow speed. So it was like kind of going, and it was like, oh, and then I had this electric sparkly thing. It is the fact that we've probably got nerves trapped somewhere in something, and that's it. But this is the thing, I think, is that it's really important to say that it isn't this nothing that the public have been told, that the media is underplaying it, that the government are underplaying it. And I would have said, yes, it's because I'm disabled. And I'd have talked to you and said, well, this is what it's like for us. It's terrible. If it wasn't for the fact that Diane had it so badly. And we know where we caught it because we went to an art event that we thought would be better policed than it was. And we also completely forgot that lots of the people going are quite anti-vax and it's all rubbish. It's all do your research a lot. And so they were all running around hugging everybody and it was boiling hot. And then about 20 or 30 of the people that went there came down in the next week. Do you know what I mean? And these are all like, it was a kind of a punky event. So these are all actual punks. So they were actually like older than us by nearly 10 years. And they're all falling to bits because they've all abused their body when they were punks.
Yeah.
And it was like a whole room of people that were really in trouble if they caught it. Everyone caught it. Everyone. It was just unbelievable.
It's during the coronavirus, I kept saying, well, loads of people are getting it, but I'm not hearing of many people getting it. But now all these regulations have been dropped, and people are like, we're fine. Everyone on my friends list and people I'm seeing holding up the COVID test, look, boom. So many people are getting it.
It's funny as well because my great friend from Luton, Louise, she's had ME and fibromyalgia for years. It's been a really long battle for her, and exactly the same. She said exactly what you were saying, that the brain fog was worse, the pain was worse, and it. I mean, she's still fighting. I think it's day 9 now. It would be, yeah, and she's still in it. You know, still testing positive, and
mine was almost 3 weeks of like really bad, getting better, really bad, getting better, and I'm still struggling. And I know by doing this tonight, probably the same as you, I'm going to switch. I'm going straight to bed after this because now my head is really hot. I'm not going red because of the bad. I am actually
the colour balance came in handy. Yeah,
my head is frying, and I'm not ashamed to. I laid in bed one night where mental fatigue for me is harder than physical fatigue. It's harder than pain because that out of control. I never liked drugs. It's that out of control feeling where all I can do is go to sleep because I just lay there and cry because I just feel so out of control that I don't like it.
It's funny because Mark was just saying all of his non-disabled friends have tested positive. And I must admit, in fact, I think I can only name one who hasn't, and that's my good punk friend, Spiz Energy, who has worn a mask over his face.
That's the cigarette fag. That's the fags, isn't it? It's just full of
nicotine. He if you ever go online, folks, and Google Spiz Energy, right?
He came on.
Yeah. He wears a mask over his face all the while, and it kind of like he wore one like a neckerchief before. Anyway, he rides a bike, so he wears it all the while to stop bits of fly and stuff. And all the way through, he's worn one. And he also doesn't like being touched. If you're beautiful, he will touch you, but otherwise he's quite. So kind of, he's actually got all he needs to protect himself, and he's the only one of my mates that hasn't got it yet. So it's just really, and of course, what do you do when the country is falling in a huge rate? What was it? 1 in 13 people have it this weekend.
Got to be more. That is highest ever.
Yeah. And what do? You stop free tests, don't you?
Yeah. I must admit, I mean, as I say, it's the mental health, but it's also everything's got to me. Just I watched that spring statement going, he's got to help. He's got to help. He's got to help. He's and I used the word, and my mum said, you can't use that word. I said, we have to reserve it for people like that. Because I just...
There's one word we will not say on this show, and that's it. And I know the word you mean. But anyway, all other words are fine. I completely get it. Do you know what's really weird? I probably did better at it than you did. And that's ridiculous that someone on benefits should, at a time like this, should be worse off than someone who's working.
I got through our thing. I think every 4 weeks, I think it said, what's PIP gone up? I think it was about £3 something, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And our British gas and everything came in. It's like...
Well, it's gone up 54%, isn't it? At least.
But it's not 54%. No, that's not how it works because my bill is almost double. That's not 50. I feel numb to it at the moment. I actually feel numb to it.
Do you know what? It's funny because I think this is all part of the other bit of COVID that we don't talk about, which is that
£4.20. Thanks, Mark.
That everybody. Oh well, there you go. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, £4.20. Ooh, that'd be nice. We'll be able to buy an extra coffee. But that everybody has done very well out of COVID if you're rich. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what, the billionaires made 23% profit in the last 2 years?
Yeah, but come on,
directly related to COVID.
I need you to be fair here. The Tories have been fined £50. Be fair.
I know. Yes. And there they were at their parties while we were all locked indoors. You
Well,
know,
I know
one
we're
more
kind
for
of
us.
straying away from COVID, but
Well, are we? I feel not. I
I
think the thing is,
tweeted, I said, if somebody on benefits is done for speeding and fined £150, and then a man with millions in his bank is fined £150, one is
yes,
punished, one isn't. People
yeah,
were fined £10,000 for having a gathering. Some of them were funerals that they decided to get together.
yeah,
£10,000, and the Tories have got 50 quid, and
yeah.
yet the police were stood outside their door.
Yeah, I know. Had to be signed in. It takes zero time to look into who went to the party because there's an actual logging in book in
And
the entrance
CCTV.
where you sign in. Yeah, and CCTV. So I had it. Now, Katie has said that her sister caught it when she went to Margate, and this is it. Because did you get this feeling that that
That I was
the
in Margate.
vaccines? Yeah, there at Margate. I nearly moved to Margate. Right, that you were safe. I don't know why, but it'd been 2 years. I had the vaccine, the other vaccine, the other vaccine, and
Yeah,
I
I
was like,
survived. Done it.
I haven't caught it. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then we all went out, and it was like, you know, and I don't. Oh dear.
I think we got complacent. I think it was a little bit like, I've had my vaccines, I've survived this time. And you just forget, you kind of go out socially and your brain just like, oh, this is fine. And
Yep.
I just totally forget until I got home and I was like, damn.
Well, it was, I mean, without being funny, we were so stupid because we went to this art gallery thing. We were buying beer, cans of beer that we were drinking out of, that people had handed us. Do you know what I mean? So, like, rather than
I had a
it wasn't even
little
a
glass of
glass that
wine
had
and
been
some
boiled.
challah bread.
It wasn't even a glass. What I mean is, though, is if it's in the air and it's aerosolized and it's in droplets, you've got a can of beer. It lands on the beer. You drink the beer. You then sit with the beer open, it falls in the beer. Do you know what I mean? Everything. I mean, other than all
People
the,
have let the guard down. Early on during COVID, my mother-in-law, when the postman called, she put her marigold gloves on and her mask. She took the items, she dropped them in a bin, she sprayed them with anything she could find and left them there for a week, and then she opened them. And now we're all kind of, it all seems like it was for nothing.
Yeah.
It's like we haven't learned. And the people that are going to suffer, yes, we've had a rough time. Yes, we felt really ill because we got underlying health conditions. But there are some of us out there and some people that may watch this, they get it, their body's not going to handle it.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are in danger.
Yeah. And the big thing is that all the way through, we've had this voice of whatever saying it's rubbish, saying the vaccine's whatever. And they seem to have won the battle now. And when you say you had it and you had vaccines, they go, well, that proves the vaccines don't work. So we were right. Because if you'd have had the vaccine and it worked, you wouldn't have caught it. And it's like, no, that's not what vaccines do. That's a different type of vaccine. And that's not what this vaccine is. Yeah. But did you see that someone tweeted me something and I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So I looked it up. They said, oh, you've got VAIDS, not COVID. And I went, VAIDS? What the is VAIDS? Is that like a diet pill or biscuit? Or
is
something?
That vegan AIDS?
Yeah, right. It's vaccine-acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Basically, there are a load of people out there saying that there's a new type of AIDS out there you catch from vaccines. It is, it is, of course, rubbish. Yeah. Right. And what is worse is that I started off going, oh, I don't think so. I think you'll find. And then I looked into it and I was like, block. Because to think, I mean, I've got quite a few friends that have got AIDS. Right. And, there's a lot of stigma with it. And it's lots of,
we lived through the days where it was really serious.
And I mean, I lost lots of my mates back in the 80s and the early 90s from it. And the idea that now there are these people going around going, oh, if you get the vaccine, you'll catch AIDS. There's an AIDS thing from the vaccine. And it's like total, absolute rubbish. A blatant lie. I mean, I get it if you don't want to take it because all this stuff. But if you start lying about something that, that all of the scientists involved in it just said, yeah, it's complete rubbish. Right. But there are people out there that will think that. And then you it shocked the hell out of me.
I mean, I have to hold my hands up. I mean, whilst I am very pro-vaccines, we've all had vaccines as kids. We all had TB. Those of us of a certain age have got the lump there. You go on holiday to certain countries, you get it. But I was perfectly healthy till I took a job working with medical equipment in the 90s. And we think mine was from, I had some vaccines for that, like the hepatitis and all that lot. And then I ended up in cardiac care. So, yes, there are risks with everything. There's risks with paracetamol. There's risks with crossing the road. But
what I think as well is that what people don't appreciate is that there are loads of people out there walking about with health conditions that they don't know they have.
Yeah.
And when you have a vaccine, it's like catching something like COVID, in that you don't know what's going to happen till you have it. So everyone else has the vaccine and they're all right, and you have the vaccine then and you're ill and they go, oh, that's the vaccine. And what the vaccine has done is highlighted the fact that you had this condition beforehand. So it wasn't that you had a heart condition caused by vaccine. You had a heart condition that was highlighted, exacerbated an existing condition. Because this is what I was thinking about COVID, is if you catch it and you have an underlying health condition that you don't know about, because it's not that bad, right? It will floor you, and you might be the unlucky one that it really kicks off, like you said with yours. Do you know what I mean? That's one of the things that started this whole journey over to our side, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? I think this is it. But then they'll jump on it and go, oh, I've seen the vaccine. And it's like, no, it's not the vaccine that caused it. The vaccine made it happen because you already had it. And, you know, I mean, I can't begin to imagine what it would have been like to have COVID without the vaccine. I can't begin to believe it.
There was a real great sense of relief for many of us, I think. You know, Katie was saying up there on her test, she was saying, you know, my body wouldn't handle it. Zec said, that's what worries me because of my heart problems I've had in the past. And, you know, for me, and I don't know if any of you, actually, this is something I really wanted to ask. I've just remembered. Brains kicked in.
Fog.
Oh, we wanted to ask that.
Yes.
When I get something like this, I don't get a cough. It always just builds up and I end up with it sitting on my chest. But if it's a cold, it happened with the COVID. Someone said it's the opiates, they're suppressing the cough. I don't know. But that's what happens to me. I'd never develop a cough and I end up then in trouble because it's all just, I'm not coughing up the lovely bits that should be disposed of.
I must admit, I didn't really have, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, I didn't really have a kind of flu. I had a kind of flu-y thing about day 9, just before I tested negative. In fact, after I tested negative, I had a cold and like was really snotty and all that stuff. I kept testing, still negative. That's when it hit. For the whole time I tested positive, I didn't have any of the symptoms that you were meant to have. It was like one of those jamboree bags you got as a kid, and you'd put your hand in and you'd pull out. Oh, I've got a sore shoulder and pain in my throat today.
I love the jamboree bag.
Yeah, my poor wife, her dad wouldn't buy one, so he made them. Oh dear! So it's like she also wasn't allowed sweets unless it was Sunday, and only 3 or something. And it was like, oh dear. So you know, growing up in Camden, you see. But someone's Facebook user, it's the joy of Facebook not letting you put your name unless you've signed in through StreamYard, saying about long COVID, because I think that's the thing. I don't know about you, but I think that's the thing I'm worried about now. Because for me, it's about a week, and I'm still feeling kind of less strong and powerful than I was. And I kind of worry that we are likely susceptible to it carrying on longer than it should do.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked it up. I've been on and I've Googled COVID and ME, and it keeps coming up COVID and then mental health, COVID and me. And I'm like, and it doesn't seem to be the only hope. The only thing for me is I'm thinking now these people with long COVID, finally they may start looking into ME, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, whatever. It was yuppie flu when I first got it, is what they called it. But, you know, hopefully now they're going to look into it. But these people that are coming down with it can probably learn a lot from the ME community, because not me. I haven't learned to pace. I'm really bad. I just tend to fall over, feel better and get up and do again. But there's so many people out there pacing the spoon theory. It's worth it.
Yeah. I think that I think you're right. I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, if there's loads of research now that the brain fog vaccine, the new vaccine that they've developed, actually might be really useful for cancer. So I think, and it might also be useful for AIDS, ironically, which is why, of course, someone picked on making up that it might give you AIDS so that they don't take it. But yeah, so I think a lot of good stuff will come from it. But one of the things I suppose we also ought to talk about is the fact that it's been used as an excuse to do a lot of stuff, hasn't it? Like when the COVID law came in, all of the rights to consultation around anything to do with, the built environment, that went out the window. Councils didn't have to ask us. They didn't have to provide social care. They
call it the dead cat, don't they? Boris Johnson uses it a lot, the dead cat theory, whereas if you're at a dinner party and the dinner is really awful, there's a dead cat on the table. No one's going to talk about how awful your dinner was. They're going to say there was a dead cat. And that's the theory he goes by. So at the moment, it's the war in Ukraine or it's whatever. Everyone else is focused elsewhere. And they're like, quick, here, mate, you go and order us a load of PPE. I know you don't normally do it. You normally go fox hunting or something, but you go and buy millions of pounds of PPE. You make an absolute fortune. No, it doesn't matter if it's the right stuff. We're disposing of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That's right. If it's huge container loads of stuff that's substandard, it'd be fine. We'll leave it on a
We'll
dock
put it with
somewhere.
Boris's water cannons. Yeah, it's water cannons that we'll put in there. Right.
But that's just amazing to me. Not only have they all made a load of money out of, kind of selling stuff to us because we're stuck at home and all this, Amazon have creamed it in and everyone else has. But, like all those Uber
more billionaires were made during COVID.
Yeah. In fact, there are 70 more billionaires than there were 5 years ago. There's now 170 billionaires in the UK.
I think I'm really pissed off because they could have said to me, Zec, can you contact China and order PPE?
We'd have done it, wouldn't we?
We'd have done it. And
HTV, PPE, it'd have been perfect.
We'd have shared it out a little bit.
Speak for yourself, mate. I'd sit on it and count it.
You could buy a new necklace with a bigger rock on it.
Oh yeah, buy a bigger. I nearly wore one today because I've got one now that if anyone's seen my Twitter,
it glows.
I bought a UV torch because if you shine UV on glow in the dark stuff, like because I have a huge, I'm really into glow in the dark. When I was
He's not joking.
But I am. I've even got glow in the dark stars, but Di won't let me put them on the ceiling because it'd be like a kid's room. Like we're both in our 50s. We're not having a kid's ceiling. Damn. But
you'll mess the mirror up.
Yeah, the mirror will fall on us. Good God, no! Never understood that. She put a mirror on the ceiling. What
are we talking about? Because I feel like
you're right. We were talking about something really important, and now it's gone. See, this is what has happened. And it's just gone. Would anyone like? We looked at the so lots. Lizzie's saying that everyone she knows about healthy has also had COVID. Yes, and Mark's right. The people will learn to. But it will. Yeah, no. This is what's done in the traders. Saving yourself from forgetting what you're talking about by talking to the comments. But that people might learn what it's like. But I don't know because, like I said, when this all started. I did a lot of stuff in the media, on radio and television and that, talking about how this might be the moment where the rest of society learns what it's like to be disabled under the social model. We aren't. Not well at all. Because I generally thought if you're all locked in and you can't do stuff, and you really wish you could, and that they get an insight, and you go, that's what it's like to be disabled. If you put a ramp in, we'd be able to get in. If you put stuff in Braille, people visually impaired might be able to read it. Or do you know what I mean? Just think outside the box a bit, because normal wasn't working.
Now it's everyone a bit wants like to my mum. She doesn't get it with the pain, and then all of a sudden she say, "Oh, well, if I make." I had a toothache and it was so bad, and I thought of you and I thought, I really get it now. I really understand you. I don't know how you do it. And then she gets her tooth fixed, and the next week she's back to like, you're still moaning. Yeah,
I get this a lot. I get this a lot from various family members where it's like that kind of thing of like, oh God.
Sorry, other mothers are available.
Yeah, I'm in this much pain. And, oh God, I know what it's like to be you. And you think, no, you don't. because that's like a scratch. I will say that about 3 days ago, I gave in and went into my cupboard of drugs. So I've got a huge cupboard of pills that they've given me
I've got a
over
drawer
the
under
years
the
to
bed.
stop pain. Yeah, and I was like, I don't want them on. They're really strong. And I took amitriptyline. Now,
No.
I took it once before and it didn't do nothing, but it's actually quite good for this new pain. I don't know why, it seems to be a bit better, but also it's a little bit like being out in the 90s in a club, because I'm a bit
Yeah,
which
no,
is
I was
another
a
reason.
zombie the next day.
Yeah.
I take nortriptyline, and it's a bit better for me.
Well, I would say that
And it helps the mental health. Apparently, it cheers me up. I don't think the wife's
having said
noticed,
that, I will say that taking amitriptyline, I've never been so down in my life. Di was going, oh well, it can have the opposite effect. I was like, well, it bloody is, I think. But I think also,
but that's all tablets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Take these for pain. And I look at it; it can cause chronic pain. Take these if you've got diarrhea.
Oh,
Can cause
God.
diarrhea.
The thing is, I started taking them because doctors have been banging on about me taking them for about 10 years, and I'm like, I don't know. And I took them. And I think I can feel something. Yeah, I'm sleeping. That's nice. And I feel a bit happier. Yeah, that's nice. And then I feel a bit down. That's not good. But the main thing is, I thought I'd look up the side effects. Don't Google.
Do that.
So never Google side effects. So apart from brain shrinkage, constipation, weight gain, hair loss,
everything
liver
messes
problems,
with your
kidney
cock as
problems.
well, doesn't it? Everything messes with your cock.
I don't care about that, do I?
No, why? Liz says, my respite carer was bedbound, unable to wash or do anything for 3 weeks COVID, and she said to me, it was awful. Now I know how you feel. So that's the thing. Other people, carers, people have had to go with, no care because there's no staff, because of the shortages with people dropping down with this.
Yeah, I think let's hope, because we're nearly at the end of this waffle. So let's try and be positive. One, I do think that if you are shielding, I know it's horrible, but I would just wait a little bit longer, because it will drop off when it gets warmer, but it's not warm yet. Do you know what I mean? And I think that at the minute they're all out there going, yeah, no masks, that's still what I like. And going, oh, it's only flu. So, but stay in, because I think May, we'll be able to start being out again. But again, I've completely forgot what we're talking about. We should not have done this episode, Zec. We should have just waited 2 weeks and done.
I'm going to have a look at the comments, see if someone knew what we were talking about. It's good for brain stuff, apparently. It's what they give after brain injuries, Roger says.
Oh, amitriptyline, is it?
Is that amitriptyline?
Is it, Roger? Oh, interesting. No, see, this is now Roger and me, we've talked a lot on Twitter. So hello, Roger.
Yes.
Hello. And that's interesting.
Well, they found different uses for drugs many years ago, didn't they? In psychiatric hospitals, that a lot of the psychiatric drugs help with pain, and lots of pain help, and rediscovering things.
The big one. Did you ever see that show about how thalidomide, if injected into brain tumours, builds a casing around them and can stop some types of brain tumour? It was really interesting. It was like, wow, because of course thalidomide was one of those ones that they just got and put in a bin and went, never go near that
touch
again.
It, never.
Oops.
We all had mates back then. I don't know how, but I had a lot of mates who had deformed hands. And limbs.
It's funny because Matt Fraser, obviously, a mate of mine, he was big campaigning around all that, trying to get compensation and all that. And one of the things he said is, do you know what thalidomide means? It means limbless. So they named it thalidomide, and it's like, so it really was on the tin.
Does exactly what it says on the tin.
On the tin, and yet they were like, "Oh, we didn't know that was coming." And it's like, I think you might have known, because it's something to do with it being the tree that it came from, the plant it came from was something I can't remember exactly, but basically, so they kind of knew. This program has definitely been. You've all been wonderful viewers.
We've moved around.
Been a bit wobbly. We've been a bit wibbly-wobbly, and also I don't think we've talked about anything we were meant to talk about.
No.
And
by the way, Gail, you owe me some money. There it is, there, Gail. Look, I'm on Mirror. I can't figure it out.
It's the other side.
It's that.
No, there it is.
I hate not mirrored cameras.
Yeah.
Biddy Bidco, Northern Ireland, Belfast. Love.
All right, cool. And do you know what?
I'm going to get in trouble now.
A few years, a few years, well, many years back, I grew an actual beard. and got lots of beard oil and lovely. And it was great. And I dyed it black and it was fantastic.
Oh, no, you look like a porn star if you do that.
I looked fantastic. All the girls thought it was great. Everywhere I went, we were just like, oh my God, you look lovely. I did look a little bit like a kind of spiky head Ryland. Ryland or whatever his name is.
There was that program on TV with, I can't remember her name. She was in Brookside. I think she did the first lesbian kiss on TV, Anna, somebody. She was in a TV program. She was a policewoman. And there was this, I think he was Indian or Pakistani actor. And his hair was pure jet black, and so was his beard, and it was so obvious it looked ridiculous.
Mine was pretty bad, but unfortunately, I've gone grey. So actually, all the hair I washed out in a few days, and the greyer I got, the longer it washed out. No, you dye yours that colour, don't you?
Yeah. This is just toothpaste.
It's just dinner. I've been eating soup. Oh dear. Well, thank you all very much.
I do apologise, people.
Well, I think it's nice to we've made quite a serious topic quite light, I hope. I hope you all go out and you're safe. If you've had it, I hope it goes away. If you haven't had it, I hope you don't catch it. And if you do, it's not too bad. And genuinely, next time, we're going to be talking about the even more depressing subject of the energy crisis and getting by with all of the hellish things that's going on with money and stuff. So that'll be in 2 weeks' time. Oh, I've just hit the microphone stand. And so we've got that. And with that, I think we might end it on time because we're not making a great deal of sense.
No.
Anyway,
Facebook user, you were saying if you're shielding, wait a bit until it's warmer. Yes, Mick's saying, when the warmer weather comes, that's what we're talking about. Wait, and in the summer, things will improve.
Yes, basically, what a virus. The reason why we get flus and viruses and everything in winter is because that's when we're inside more, but also they thrive more in those conditions. Wet, you've got a warm house where they can breed. But you go outside, and do you know what I mean? So whereas in summer you'll be outside, you'll be it'll be warmer, you'll be less chance of catching. So that's why normally colds and flus dip off in summer and pick up again in winter. So what
Katie's saying that I do apologise to Katie. We've said we're going to have Katie. I'm glad to see you both back. Missed you. When is my debut happening? She's not letting us off the hook.
No, I feel it's absolutely right. And what I'd like to do.
We do have a green room. So what I can do is I can pop people in. I can give them a guest thing. And then when we discuss, we can say, come in and have a say. And
I also wonder if we should have one with Katie and Kira Lawrence and get them to talk about what it's like to have learning disabilities and differences and issues. Because I think that'd be... What do you think? Are you up for that, ladies? Just because...
Katie's on that. Yeah. We'll be here underneath.
Yeah, we'll ask you the questions, and then you tell us. You give us your view. I mean, We've
also got on the 15th of May, if you remember. Alice and
Lucy
would, who do the labelled podcast. They were on a few weeks ago. They're going to hijack the show. They're going to come on and they're going to run it as their podcast, which I think might be a nice little break.
They're going to hijack it from us so that we can
I think when Disability Horizon sees these one, they may just give it to them. Can I say, I'm looking very with it. This is me during the day. I am literally a wreck.
You've had it cut, haven't you?
No.
Right, there's a fantastic picture on Zec's social media of him with full Zec out. And it's Robert Smith in its size.
Blow dry. And I need a haircut, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm a bit like Sonic the Hedgehog at the back, where it will kind of...
See, what you want to do, I reckon,
go
full Viking. So get it all put in plaits with metal bits on the end.
I can do a ponytail.
That's it, yeah. Get it all...
See, when I go to shawl, I just bunch it up at the back and I put my kipper over the top.
So that's what you want to do. You want to become a Jewish Viking. Go full. That'd look brilliant.
Go around hitting people with a loaf of challah bread. Yeah. Funny
right,
talking about the Jews. Yeah, because I called this, I think, when I went to shore, I was laid in bed really unwell in the night. Donna's asleep, I woke up and I went, bloody Jews. She's like, what?
I must admit that when we all came down with it after this punk thing, I was going, bloody punks. Because that was the thing that I was going to talk about and forgot completely, was the fact how many people don't believe in it. And loads of these guys are like, I don't believe in it. And it's like, now you got it. Believe in it now, didn't you? Because my lovely stepdad rang me up to find out if I was all right. And I didn't answer the phone because I didn't want to talk to him. And he left a message going, I hear you've got COVID, apparently.
Thanks.
Because he's another, he don't believe in it. You know, it's all rubbish. Typical, isn't it? I got it, he didn't. Anyway, I'm not going to wish bad things on bad people. I'm going to leave you all with that, lovely folks. We've been saying goodbye for 5 minutes. That's what happens, you see. We have. So we will say goodbye to you all. Thank you so much for putting up with 50 minutes of waffly waffle. Like I said, hope you don't get it. If you do, stay well, stay in, look after yourself. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks' time, where Zec will be leading, and we'll be talking about the cost of living. Who have we got on? Have we got anyone on special to talk about?
No. I did hope, but I had a reply from the money. Well, that team,
people.
you know, Martin Lewis, his team, and they came back and said, "Oh, what are you thinking of?" And then where I wasn't, I didn't get back to them, and I think I lost the opportunity. But
well, get back in touch again. You never know.
Yeah,
I mean, but
people do. I really want to know from you about this cost of living.
Yes.
About you've had your bills through. It's going to go up again in April. I want to know how much you're being charged extra, what the difference is. I want to know, because they're saying, "Oh, it's heat or eat." No, it's not for us. It's gonna. We're not going to pay it because we can't afford to. But that's the next one.
Yes, that's it. So send us in your experiences. Tell us what you're going through, and if you are up for it and you come around, we'll see you maybe get you popping in doing this green room thing.
Yeah, send your code and pop in and just have a chat with us.
Yes,
about your experience of it.
Someone said get Martin Lewis on. I think we might be shooting a bit high for that. Martin Lewis. We'll see about Martin Lewis. We'll see, but we might be shooting for the moon there because he's probably quite busy because he's on everything.
The poor man is normally got advice for everything, and he looks beaten. He looks
of course he does. Well, it's Jack Monroe. I mean, I know Jack, and there's another person going on all these programs trying to teach you how to cook food cheap and that. And it's like, well, I can't do miracles. People can't afford to buy anything. People are trying to cook food not on the stove or in the oven because they can't afford to cook. It's like,
anyway,
we're not going to talk about that. We'll talk about that in 2 weeks because we're going to try and leave you on a high, and we didn't. Right, let's go because otherwise it'll be another 5 minutes. So
say goodbye,
everybody.
Bye.
Bye. See you all next time, folks. See ya.